Welcome to another session, guys. Thank you for being here. Today, we are going to be looking at executive functioning skills from a quantum perspective. I'm very excited about today's session because every time I do a session about executive functioning skills, I get to learn more about them. I get to see them from different perspectives, and I get to read your comments and your experiences, and that helps me learn more about them too. I know that for some this topic can be a bit overwhelming because there are so many executive functioning skills and describing them, and sometimes it's too much information. But I just want to let you know that it's very important for you to follow your pace. It's very important for you to honor how you feel, and it's a journey, and you are in the perfect place. From a quantum perspective, you are always in the perfect place at the perfect time, and everything is happening. It's happening for you accordingly to divine timing. Okay, so you are where you have to be. I am where I need to be, and so whatever comes up, it's fine. How many of you are familiar with executive functioning skills? I'm just curious. How many of you have heard of them, are familiar with them? Yeah, it's lots of information, but I am here to explore a bit. Amazing. Yeah, so yeah, for those of you who may not know, I do have a full course about executive functioning skills where I dive into each of them and I do a little practice so that you can get in touch with each of them and see how you use them throughout your day. But today, I really want to take this quantum approach to all of these skills and then see what comes up, see what kind of conversations this evokes, because it's going to be very interesting. This is a part of a quantum living series that I am doing. I started a few weeks ago, and it's going to be going for a few more weeks. So very happy to have you guys here. Maybe you are repeated. Maybe this is your first time. So wherever you are at, make sure that you follow me for future sessions if you haven't yet, and that way you will get notifications. Okay? Exploring the skills from an approach as a person with ADHD. Amazing, Becca. So that's another lens of looking at this. And this is really important, guys, for you to understand that from a quantum perspective, there is not a right or wrong way of looking at things, and one single event, one single experience, one single concept can be looked at from so many different lenses, perspectives. So many times one event happens and then maybe there are 10 people that saw that event or experienced that event, and every person has a different experience, a different meaning, and it was the exact same event, just looked at from different perspective, looked at from different lenses, from different conditioning, from different limiting beliefs, from different blueprints about how we see the world. So it's very important to just be open-minded, okay? So before we get started, let's just do a little grounding practice, okay? So that we can transition into the session. I'm going to be using my singing bowl. So I invite you to get comfortable. If you can, close your eyes, then take a couple of deep breaths. And I invite you to just connect with yourself, connect with your body. You can do a little quick body scan. Just notice any tensions that may be there. Notice any emotions that may be present for you right now. And I invite you to call your energy back to you, to now. So you can do this by imagining that every time there is a thought, every time there is something that you have to do that is in your mind, just imagine that those are clouds and that there is an energetic line from you to that event, to that thought, to that to-do. And then you just pull that energetic core back to you temporarily for this session so that you can be present. And just do that with anything that is dividing your attention. Just become aware of it and slowly bring that energy back to you, to the now. That thing is gonna be there after, so you will have time to do it after. If you need, you can write it down on your journal so that you don't forget. Just keep breathing. And by doing this exercise, we are practicing some of the executive functioning skills that we are going to cover today. We are practicing emotional self-regulation. We are practicing transitioning from whatever you were doing before into this session. We are practicing intention and focus, focusing our attention. We are practicing metacognition. This is your ability to be present, your ability to become the observer, your ability to create a pause and detach yourself from the experience that's happening. And when you can do that, you're also working on your impulse control or response inhibition. That is your ability to choose what you do and what you don't do. This is your ability to stop reacting to things, to emotions, to experiences, and you being able to be here and be able to choose what you want to do. And slowly just come back. Gather all your energy, bring it here. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and you can come back to the session. Thank you so much, guys, for doing this grounding with me. Yeah, how are you guys feeling? Is there anything that you would like to share before I get started with the session? So I had an idea today, and that idea is to just share all the skills one by one and to look at the quantum perspective on that skill. And then after that, we can co-create together what we want to do. Maybe we want to dive into a specific one more. Maybe there is an experience in your life that is happening or has happened, and you are curious to learn more about it from this perspective and maybe see what executive functioning skills are in action there. So this session is going to be created by all of us who are present here live. And if you are listening to the recording later, you will get benefits too. But the people who are live with me right now, we are the ones who are creating this experience together. So I'm wondering if that sounds like a plan for you. Becca says, thanks for the review of the skills during the meditation. Great awareness. Yeah, I miss those skills for people with ADHD. Yeah, it seems a very interesting session. Yeah, so let's look at these skills kind of quickly. And again, don't get overwhelmed. There is a full course. I also have many episodes that I have done in the past that you can listen to the recording, either on my podcast and also on Insight Timer, where I have covered every skill and I have shared lots of examples and I have dived into many, many different things with you guys. But remember, today is a quantum perspective on these skills, okay? So the first 3 skills are the skills that are going to help you. I like to divide these. There are 14 executive functioning skills that I have here that I want to share, okay? And I divided them in skills that help you manage how you think, skills that help you manage how you feel, and skills that help you manage how you act and behave. Okay, so let's look at the first one, working memory. Okay, so working memory normally is the skill that allows you to access information, to remember information, and to kind of have like a database to do what you need to do. So from a quantum perspective, working memory is your ability to hold a frequency long enough for it to shape your next moment. It's where intentions, thoughts, and awareness temporarily gather to influence reality. Okay, so the quantum perspective is that, remember, everything exists here and now. Okay, this is an infinite now moment where everything is here. So working memory is your ability to temporarily hold a frequency of a specific information that you need so that you can do what you need to do. So that is the quantum approach to working memory. The second skill is adaptable thinking or cognitive flexibility. Okay, this is the skill that allows you to be flexible. It allows you to change when life changes, when things change. You can adapt quickly. This is also the skill that allows you to see reality from different perspectives, to put yourself in someone else's shoes. So from a quantum lens, adaptable thinking or cognitive flexibility is your capacity to shift timelines. So basically, remember that from a quantum perspective, there are infinite amounts of parallel realities, and then you can shift timelines. You can shift also when you create time, that from a quantum perspective, time is an illusion. We create time so that there is a timeline, so that there is a sequence of events happening, so that you can receive an experience. But really, everything exists here and now. But we create the idea that there is a past, a present, a future, and then things happen on a specific timeline. It's like a movie, right? If you are the director of a movie and you are trying to create the movie, you are choosing what's going to be the beginning, what's going to be the end, what's the in-between, so what's the storyline. You already have all the information, all the frames, all the videos. You are just putting them in a specific order so that you can provide an experience. So this is kind of the same idea. So your adaptable thinking is your capacity to shift timelines, to jump from one possibility to another without resistance. It's how you tune into a new frequency when life changes unexpectedly. Okay, so this is when you have an intention and you are taking action, and maybe something happens and it disrupts everything that you were doing. It disrupts everything, right? So if you can be flexible enough to understand, wow, this is happening for a reason. I don't need to understand the why. There is something here for me to learn about, and I'm just going to be curious and trust that something else needs to happen, and I'm going to be curious about what that is. And then you start flowing differently. And then you have the capacity to don't get upset, to don't resist that change. So that's what adaptable thinking kind of talks about. Hi, Matt. We just got started. So I'm reading the skills one by one, and I'm giving like the quantum perspective, and then we can dive more into a specific one after if you guys want to. Okay. So let's look at metacognition. So metacognition is your ability to, like the traditional kind of explanation or description of this skill is your ability to think about how you think, detach yourself from the experience. Is your capacity to reflect. Is your capacity to become the observer. And this is really important. Metacognition is a very, very important skill, because all these skills, by the way, many times they are going to be working combined. Okay, so it's not that now it's only metacognition and then after is emotional self-regulation. Many times they are working all at the same time, and there is a different blend of But metacognition is your ability to create a pause, your ability to pause and to detach, and then to see the reality from an observer's point of view. And this will give you the choice to then decide, tweak, change, etc. So it's very important. So the quantum view, the quantum lens about metacognition is the observer. And then consciousness, the higher vantage point that watches your thoughts instead of becoming them. Okay? So consciousness. So metacognition is the observer consciousness. Is the higher vantage point that watches your thoughts instead of becoming them. So that's why you are detached from that experience. It's how you step outside of the matrix and navigate intentionally. So this is a really important skill because it allows you to detach, reflect, and then reset your intention. Really check in and see, is this what I want? This is how I want to behave. What does this moment want from me? How can I pivot in a way that feels good and aligned? So metacognition is going to allow you to do all those things. And we're talking a very small fraction of time. Sometimes you are not even thinking about it, but we are all doing this, like all the time, consciously or unconsciously. The fourth skill is emotional self-regulation. Okay, and we are all very familiar with that. I mean, we are mostly on Insight Timers, so we are here because we want to learn how to emotionally self-regulate, and we do that through many different practices. But emotional self-regulation from a quantum lens is your emotions are energetic waves, and regulation is your ability to smooth the signal instead of amplifying chaos. And it's learning to surf the wave instead of being pulled under. I like that metaphor, right? Imagine that you are surfing and then there is this huge wave that is an emotion. And then instead of you being crushed by it, you learn how to surf it. And then learning how to surf that emotion means that you are learning how to feel it, learning how to be witnessing it, learning how to express it, and hopefully learning how to cope with it, learning the deeper reason of why that emotion is showing up and what you need to learn from it. So emotional self-regulation from a quantum level is a really good way of you are getting data and signs of what's next for you in your healing journey, in your realigning journey. Let's put it that way. So the next one, the number 5, is response inhibition or impulse control. And this is very clear, right? It's your capacity to control your impulses, to don't be reactive. From a quantum lens, impulse control or response inhibition is your ability to pause time. So you are creating that pause, okay? And then to slow the momentum of a reaction so that you can choose a new frequency. It's the quantum gap where choice becomes possible. So just think about it. We were talking about the wave, okay? So imagine that your impulse control is your ability to stop the momentum of something when you are feeling an emotion. Is if you keep like acting on it, if you keep like it gets intense, and it gets a point that it explodes on you. So emotional self-regulation allows you to become familiar with the process and then to be able to do that on a way that feels good with you. And then impulse control is your ability to don't let that emotion or that an experience make you react very fast. That's why pausing is so important. And impulse control is done mostly with metacognition, with emotional self-regulation. So as I was saying, they work together. They are not isolated processes that happen. If you watch your own experiences, you're going to start recognizing, wow, I'm using metacognition. Wow, I'm using emotional self-regulation, and I'm using impulse control, and so you're going to start noticing how all these tools are activating sometimes at the same time, sometimes one after the other. So just be curious. And then now we are going to step into, so we have covered the skills that allows us to manage how we feel and how we think. And now we're going to start thinking about how we act, how we behave, how we take action. Okay? And then after that, let me read them, and then we can then have a discussion and then see how we want to do after, where we want to go with this. Okay? So the sixth one, number 6, is task initiation. Okay, task initiation, the regular description is your ability to initiate a task. Okay, so from a quantum lens, task initiation is the moment that you are collapsing potential, infinite amount of possibilities, into an action that is very specific. So you are basically laser focusing your energy and your intention and your attention, and then you are initiating something, energetically speaking. So it's the shift from intention and energy in general into material reality. So you are crystallizing the reality or materializing. So everything is collapsing into something concrete that you are starting and initiating. So that's the quantum definition of task initiation. Then we have number 7 is attention control or focusing, right? This is your ability to focus on a specific task for an amount of time, and this is your ability to grab your attention and then control it and then keep it in what you are doing. So for those of you who were talking about ADHD, people who like to do multitasking a lot, this is a very big struggle, like to maintain your attention in one thing, right? Because it's very easy to get distracted. So from a quantum perspective, attention control and focus is attention is your laser pointer in the quantum field. Okay? What you illuminate becomes more real. So focus is maintaining the beam without scattering your energy. So imagine, to make it visual, imagine that the quantum field is it's dark. It's darkness. Let's just say it's darkness. And you have a flashlight. Okay? And it's a very pointy flashlight. When you turn it on, it's a very specific beam, and you can only see what you illuminate with that beam. So that flashlight is going to be your attention, and you are controlling where your attention goes, because you can only see what you are illuminating with that flashlight. So now imagine that this is your energy, and these are all ideas and projects and experiences and things to do, and then you are deciding to point that flashlight into a specific direction, into a specific task. And then the longer you can be there holding it in that direction, the longer you are going to have, the more focus and attention control you are going to have. So that's the quantum kind of perspective on attention. The number 8 is time management. Okay? So the quantum lens on time management is your ability to serve parallel timelines consciously, choosing the one that aligns with your intentions instead of defaulting to urgency or chaos. Okay? So let me read that again. So it's your ability to serve parallel timelines consciously, choosing the one that aligns with your intentions, okay? The one that aligns with your intentions rather than you getting lost in emergency, chaos, and distractions. So that's time management, your ability to, and again, this is, as you see, time management and then attention control and focus, and they are going to blend with each other at some times, but we're just trying to make words so that you can understand them separately and then you can see them acting. Then task completion, number 9. Task completion is your ability to energetically close a process, right? So you are sealing the loop so energy can flow forward. And then unfinished tasks leave open circuits that drain your system. So this is really important, because how many of you feel that there is activities that you have to do, things that you didn't finish, and it feels that they are haunting you. It feels that you are carrying them on your shoulders and you are moving through your day with a lot of weight, because it feels that it's like, wow, I didn't complete that. And then that energetic closure that you need didn't happen. And when you say a task, completing a task, you can define the task. The task can mean whatever you want. So you can make it as big or as small as you want. But there is an importance in how you describe the task. Because if you are creating a task that is impossible to finish, you are going to be dragging that with you. And that's that energetic kind of drainage that you are feeling because there is something that is not complete. And again, you can define what complete means. It doesn't have to be something humongous. So that's the quantum lens about completing tasks. And we can dive deeper into more examples after if you want. The number 10 is organization. Okay? Organization. And then what is the quantum lens, the quantum perspective on this skill? So organization is the art of harmonizing your physical environment with your internal frequency. So the outer world becomes a mirror of inner clarity. So basically, there is the law of resonance, one of the laws of the universe. If you look for the laws of the universe, one of them is the law of resonance. And then inner wall and outer wall are resonating and they are mirrored to each other. So sometimes it happens that you reorganize the outside and that helps you reorganize the inside and makes you feel better. Sometimes you start on the inside and you change your mindset, you change your beliefs, you change what's possible, and then that creates an impact physically outside. So organization is that. It's that kind of like harmonizing energetics between outside and inside world. Number 11 is planning. And then the quantum lens, the quantum description of planning is future energy weaving. Okay, so mapping the energetic pathway from where you are to where you want to go. So basically, I know that there is no present, past, and future from a quantum perspective, but this planning can be your ability to create something that is going to give you an experience. It's going to give you a completion of a project, and you are kind of weaving a little bit of that future, and that's what's going to happen. But in here, I always, and I can talk more about trusting, about intuition, and about the idea that from a quantum perspective and from, if we follow the law of attraction, we are responsible to clearly state what we want and to clearly state our intention and how we want to feel, but we are not in charge of how it happens. We are not responsible for the how to and the step by step. So that's why if we look at reality from this perspective of I set my intention and then I will receive in whatever way works best for me, and I don't need to know how that is going to unfold. But I still have to take action when it shows up, but it's not attached action, it's inspired action. And it's action that comes out of excitement. And there is not attachment to a specific outcome, but it's helping you move forward in your life in a way that feels good. So if we look at reality from that perspective, then that planning is not the intellectual planning that you normally think about. It's a completely different kind of planning. And sometimes I think that there is not a lot of planning. There is a lot of intention and kind of clarity about what you want to feel and what kind of experience would you like to experience. But then the how it happens, I don't think that's our job from a quantum perspective. Number 12 is sequencing. Okay, so sequencing is understanding the order in which energy flows best. Okay, it aligns actions with natural energetic progression. So sequencing is normally your ability to sequence things in the specific steps so that you can make that as efficiently, as effortlessly as possible. So from an energetic point of view, is finding what is the best, most flowing energetic way of doing this. And sometimes, as I was saying, we are not the ones who are going to sequence. We are just gonna keep showing up and taking action, but we don't need to think about the sequence of events because you're gonna be using your intuition, you're gonna be trusting the process, and you're gonna be doing the best you can in every moment, but knowing that you don't need to have all the answers. and knowing and trusting that the next available step will show up at the right time. So that's why you eliminate anxiety. You don't have to know. You are just showing up fully every moment, knowing that whatever needs to happen will happen, and you will be there and you will take the right action, and everything will keep evolving how it needs to. And then that self-doubt disappears and the resistance disappears, and then you become just flowing with the experience rather than trying to control it. Then we have number 13. That's prioritizing, right? Prioritizing is choosing the highest leverage frequency, the action that creates the most alignment with your overall intention. So listen to that. The action that creates the most alignment with your overall intention. That is what prioritizing means from a quantum perspective. And again, in here, I emphasize the importance of intuition, the importance of gut feeling, the importance of trusting. Because sometimes we feel that we need to know everything and we need to know what to prioritize in every future moment that didn't happen yet. And when we're trying to do that, we are being attached to something. We are trying to micromanage how it needs to happen from an intellectual point of view. We are not trusting in the process. We are not trusting that we are being guided. We are not trusting that there is a guidance system that is bigger than us. And we are basically trying to control because we are afraid, or because there is something in there that is blocking us from being able to be present and be fully flowing in that experience. And then the last one is transitioning or shifting your attention. And this one, when I was doing the singing bowl, for example, I was talking about transitioning. I was inviting you to bring your energy back and then to consciously and mindfully and intentionally be here, transitioning to having this live session, because that's what you chose to do. And then whatever you choose to do next is your ability to change to that place, physically, emotionally, energetically. Okay, so let's look at the quantum lens of transitioning. So transition is your ability to change energetic states smoothly without shock or friction. It's like shifting gears in a car. The smoother the shift, the easier the ride. I would like to add here about transitioning, and then I will finish, that when you are transitioning, you are energetically, you are physically, you are emotionally, sometimes you are socially, you are changing from doing something to doing something, from being somewhere to being somewhere else, from being with someone else to being with someone else, or being alone. So there is a lot of things that can help you transition smoother, right? And we can dive into the transitioning if that's something that you are interested. So yeah, so let's take a couple of deep breaths, because that was a lot, okay? And then let's play my other singing bowl, the big one, okay? Because that was a lot, so we need more sound. So let's do a bigger sound, okay? And let's just let all these ideas and energy and information just permeate you in whatever way you need. And I invite you to use your metacognition and your self-regulation to connect with yourself. And then from this place of connection, just notice what's there and notice what you would like to do next in this session. Do you have a specific question? Is there an experience in your life that you would like to explore? Maybe you just want to watch and listen, but you don't want to participate. Maybe you just want to leave the session altogether and do something else. Just be aware of your truth. And then I invite you to come back. And I invite you to co-create this session with me in whatever way feels good to you. Just being here, it's already a lot. Just your presence. You don't need to comment, you don't need to ask, you don't need to do anything if that's what feels true to you. If you have a burning question, ask it. If there is an experience that you would like to get curious about, then be courageous and share it, and then see what comes out of it. So this is our creation. So what would you like to do? Is there a specific skill that you would like me to dive deeper into? Is there a specific experience in your life that you would like to know how to handle differently? And if nothing shows up, I can keep going with whatever my intuition tells me. So could you please repeat again the 3 main categories? So yeah, Irene or Irene. So there are 14 executive functioning skills, and when I created the course, it sounded good to me to divide them in how we manage, how we think, how we feel, and how we act or behave. And that helped me structurally kind of understand them better, but it's just a structure. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay? Can you share again what is sequencing from a quantum perspective? Yeah, absolutely. So sequencing, Madeleine, know that this is for blissful light. Sequencing. Sequencing is understanding the order in which energy flows best. It aligns actions with natural energetic progression. That is the quantum definition of sequencing. And again, remember that I mentioned intuition, and I mentioned that it's very important that sometimes we are not responsible to know every single step of the way and to know how it needs to sequence, and we don't need to get lost in that. Okay, if that doesn't flow to you naturally, just trust that you are receiving what you need and then sequence that part, but don't try to understand the whole thing, because maybe that is not helpful. Madeleine says, Emilio, I wrote a reply about, and it's so long, so I don't know if I want to send it 2 screens long at least. So Madeleine, my intuition is telling me to invite you to be more concise. Try to refine what you are trying to share or ask in a more concise way, because from an energetic point of view, okay, how do you feel when someone is sharing a lot of information all at once? Like, how do you feel? And how much can you help that person, or how much can you participate when that happens? So just think about it. So sometimes it's good to be seen, and sometimes it's good to refine. It's good to really process and really come up with a specific question or a specific way of sharing your experience that is not very overwhelming. So whatever comes to you, feel free to copy and paste it if you want. And then I can always say no if it's too much for me, okay? So let me see. Patrick says, since there is no time, how can you plan? And there are many things that have to do with planning. Yeah, that's something that I was mentioning, Patrick, that so planning, and let's be concrete. So there is time, but there is no time. Okay, let me explain that. From a quantum perspective, time is an illusion, okay? But time still exists. Here we live on a time-space experience. Okay, but this is an illusion that we are creating so that we can have an experience, so that we can forget and then kind of live something, so that we can experience and we can learn and we can process, and then hopefully we will go back to wherever we're coming from, and then with an experience. So imagine again, I would like to take a movie example, okay? Because imagine that the timeline of a movie is something that it has been created. So if you look about it, like when you're watching a movie, it's not even movement, right? So it's a sequence of pictures. A video, it's a sequence of pictures put together with a specific frame rate per second. So realistically speaking, when you are taking a video, you are taking snapshots of the reality, and you are putting those snapshots together at 25, 30 frames per second, and then you are creating something that appears to be moving. So you are creating time, and then you can take those frames and you can position them to create a specific timeline. So that is time, okay? But it is created. It's not something that existed before. You have created that timeline, and you have put those frames in there so that you can watch a movie and then go through the movie experience, and then hopefully have a good ending, and then you will, that was a good movie. But realistically, everything exists here and now. All the frames are here and now, and the director can put them in whatever order they want. So that's what I talk about from a quantum perspective. Time is an illusion that we create, and on Earth, we are experiencing time, we are experiencing space, and we have to move through time and space so that we can experience what we want or need to experience. But that's why they say that it is an illusion, but it's still true. It's like when you're playing a video game, right? Imagine that this is a virtual reality game. We have 5 senses, and then we see, we hear, and then we are experiencing this time. But imagine that our soul is sleeping somewhere, and they are just playing this game called life on Earth. So imagine that you play a video game, and it's kind of the same idea. You are creating the illusion of time, and then whenever you have to go pee or you want to stop, you just pause, you leave, and then you come back, and then you unpause, and then you keep playing. So it doesn't really exist, that time, but it exists in the game. So it's kind of something similar. I'm still trying to understand it too, so don't think I have all the answers, but it's just fascinating to think about this in this way. So I don't know if I have answered your question, Patri, but basically you can still plan things in that timeline, okay? Because you are creating the illusion of time, and in that time you still have to plan things. You can still do things, physically speaking, and because you are in the middle of the experience and you are experiencing that. Sue says, it is assumed that all this is between our control. So Sue, yes and no. So we are always using this executive, I guess you are referring to executive functioning skills, and my answer is like, we are consciously aware of some, unconsciously using some. We're always using them, like it or not, consciously or unconsciously. We are always making choices. We are always feeling emotions. We are always acting or pausing. We are always initiating tasks and completing tasks and not completing tasks. So we are always doing things. But if you can learn how your brain works, if you can learn how things are unfolding, if you can get aligned, I hope that this information helps you become aware. Wow, I never thought of thinking. I never thought of pausing. I never thought of becoming the observer. I never thought of, wow, I have the control to act or don't act, regardless of what happens outside, regardless of what people tell you, regardless of the experience that you may have. You always have the control to pause and say, do I want to act or not? Sometimes the body starts activating on its own because it's been triggered, and that is a trauma response, and maybe there is more awareness and healing that needs to happen there because it's automatic, but slowly you will be able to kind of understand what's happening. And then in a perfect world, when everything flows naturally, you always have full control of your energy. You always have full control of how you interact with others, and no one can energetically influence you if you don't want to. If you are fully conscious and aware, no one can really do anything to you, energetically speaking, that you don't want them to, because you will not accept it. So I hope that answered your question. But we are all in this experience because we are all learning. We are all processing. We are all healing. We are all going through experiences that we are learning from, and we don't have all the answers. And this is why we are all here. That's my belief, at least. So yeah, we are relearning how to, I don't know if gaining control is, I don't know if I like the control, but we are learning to be aware, to become aware of what's happening. And then when you are aware, you can decide what's aligned with you in that moment. Because remember, Sue, everything exists here and now. From a quantum perspective, everything. So negative things, according to you, amazing things, ugly people, beautiful people, war, peace, light, darkness, everything exists. So you just are choosing what you want to see and what you want to experience. And sometimes that has been conditioned on us to look at the world and to only look at a very specific range, and we are not looking at the whole thing. So learning how to don't only look at what you have been taught, and learning how to, okay, yeah, but all of this is also here, right? So that's under your control. That's something that you can learn. Matt says, thank you. Good to create with all here. Yeah, you're welcome, Matt. Peta says, I feel all overwhelmed as my brain and visual way of learning is trying to process. Yeah, so Peta, this is a very specific example of something that you are noticing about yourself, right? Like you are trying, maybe you are a visual way, maybe you learn, maybe me talking to you is not helping you understand things, and maybe you need to learn this on a different way. Maybe you need to receive the information differently. So that's why understanding how you learn and honoring that can be very helpful. Because, for example, imagine, Peta, that you leave today's session and you are feeling overwhelmed and you are curious and you are excited to learn more, and you recognize, wow, like my brain will receive information more easily if I can see pictures, if I can see someone, if I can see a story. I don't know what that is for you. For me, normally it's listening. I love listening. Reading, I can capture things, but listening, I capture way more. And sometimes it's watching videos. So that's how I learn best. But that's my brain. That's what I have discovered. Some people love reading and they capture the most by reading. So you need to honor your style. You need to honor how you function best. And you will honor that by you spending time discovering what that is for you on an energetic kind of base. And then honoring that as much as possible. So let me see. Are there things we can practice to strengthen our executive functioning skills? Yeah, Angie, absolutely. There are so many things that we can practice. Anytime you are doing any meditation practice, any visualization practice, anytime you are doing any self-care practice that allows you to slow down, for example, you are practicing emotional self-regulation, you are practicing impulse control, you are practicing metacognition, you are practicing, you are clarifying how you feel, you are aligning yourself, and then from that place, you are going to have way more clarity about what you want to create, what you want to do, and what you don't want to do. And when you have that clarity and you feel that aligned, then initiating tasks is going to be easier, because you are not going to initiate something that doesn't feel good or you don't need to do. You are going to focus on what you want and feels aligned with you and it's important to you now. So initiating a task is going to be easier. Completing a task is going to be easier. Transitioning from task to task is going to be more mindful. So I think the question is, and I do this in the course, I invite people to do a little meditation, and then I guide them into what is the last experience that you had where you would like to do it differently, where you would like to don't struggle that much, where you were challenged by something, and then you take that experience and then you try to understand from the executive functioning skills point of view, what can I benefit from here? And sometimes, for example, someone says, I have a really hard time initiating tasks. And then majority of the times it boils down to the definition of the task, the length of that task, what that task emotionally evokes in the person. So there are so many barriers that we are kind of going through just to initiate something. And then once we initiate something, then the length is not as important as initiating that task. And same with task completion. Sometimes we don't complete a task because we have developed a very big task and it's not realistic and it's overwhelming. And then when we have an overwhelming task that we kind of know that we are not going to complete, that's where procrastination shows up. That's where perfectionism shows up, self-doubt. So sometimes just redefining what it means to complete the task and making that smaller can be what you needed to be able to close that energetic loop and then feel empowered. I completed that section of the task. Amazing. I feel I'm proud. I did it. So I can go again because I'm motivated. So I hope that helps get you started. And again, specific examples will give you a way more specific answer from me. So if you have something concrete, because it's very big, right? How can I practice this? Executive functioning skills. Well, there are 14 executive functioning skills, right? And each of them has a lot of information inside. So if you have a specific example that we can look at, that will be helpful. Yeah, can you repeat shortly all the 12 executive skills? Yeah, Madeline, 14 skills that I have, okay? But yeah, I can repeat them kind of. So it's working memory, adaptable thinking, also known as cognitive flexibility, metacognition, emotional self-regulation, response inhibition or impulse control, task initiation, attention control and focus, time management, completing task completion, organization, planning, sequencing, prioritizing, and transitioning and shifting. And again, guys, don't try to write this down. I do have a little document. If you send me an email or a message, I'm happy to forward it to you too. And it's also included in my course if you take the course. So don't get lost in the intellectual information and try to connect with your intuition and where you need to go next. What feels most exciting. So listening is so much harder. Yeah, I hear you, Peta. So for you, listening is harder and you are more visual. So that's good. So Angie says, so grounding first, chunking things and assessing things you have done. Yeah, so Angie, grounding is always important because when you are grounding, what you are trying to do, first you are coming back to the present moment. When you ground, you are kind of energetically kind of connecting with the present moment, connecting with earth, with an energy that is going to make you feel like kind of grounded, like rooted. And then from that place, it's easier for you to breathe. It's easier for you to feel safe. And then when you are doing all those things, your nervous system is going to relax. Okay. And then from that place, it's going to be easier for you to don't impulsively act. It's going to be easier for you to create a pause. It's going to be easier for you to then become the observer of, I don't know, whatever happened. Sometimes I meditate generally. Sometimes I listen to a guided meditation on a specific topic. Sometimes I am working on something and I say, I would like some inspiration for this or some help or a new perspective. And that will be my intention. And I will just try to be in silence and then see what I receive. So there is not a right or wrong way of doing this. And it depends on your intention. Okay? Angie and everybody, remember, from a quantum perspective, everything is infinite. Everything exists here and now. So you just have to be intentional in choosing what you want. It's like, imagine that you have a remote and you have all the channels in the world. that they are all here and now. You just have to choose. I want to watch sports. I want to watch a documentary. I want to watch a movie drama. I want to watch a TV show that is going to make me laugh, a comedy. So you are choosing what you want with your intention. So in here is the same. What do you want? What do you want to look at? And the more specific information you are going to receive. This is the same way when you go to the internet and you are trying to do a search. The more specific the question, the more specific the result you are going to receive. So it's the same for you when it comes to these executive functioning skills. So I see blissful light. I see a long message here. Let me see if I can read it all. Knowing that I don't always know what is best, can you share more about the responsibility to clearly state what one wants? How can I make better choices? How can I know the direction I'm taking is the most beneficial for all, including myself? As they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and the other part I'm curious is quantum perspective is about choosing a feeling, because sometimes one may have not even feel it before, only imagine but not felt. So regarding choosing what, blissful light, there is a lot in here to unpack, right? So let me see what I can answer first. About the feeling that you say, that is so true, right? That's why, for example, Joe Dispenza talks a lot about you are visualizing because you are trying to feel and experience something that you have not experienced yet. And he's talking about what you were saying. If you have never had the opportunity to experience something, for example, if you were raised in a home where love was transferred to you in a non-physical way, for example, and you never receive physical touch, and you don't know how that feels, so it's really, your nervous system doesn't compute. When someone is going to touch you, you are going to be like, I don't know what to do with this, right? Maybe you are even overwhelmed with it. So when you are visualizing and trying to experience that in your visualization, it's funny because the body, the physical body, doesn't know the difference between something that is actually happening and something that you are visualizing. It reacts the same way, and this is proven scientifically speaking. So to answer your question, you can rehearse experiencing something that you have never experienced before, and that is going to help your nervous system become familiar and attuned to that experience. And when it happens in real life, it's going to be easier for you to receive it, or at least to get started exploring what that can feel like for you. So you won't be completely closed down. So that's one of the answers. And then when you talk about the responsibility, how to clearly decide your choice, and then you bring hell into the equation. And from a quantum perspective, okay, we are responsible for our own energy in the present moment. Everything else is a mirror of how we feel now. Not when something changes outside, not when someone does something for us, now. And that is the difficult part, because we have been trained that we are always looking outside, and depending how things look like, then we behave a specific way. Then we believe in something or we don't. Then we react in a specific way or we don't. The quantum approach is the opposite. It's like, it doesn't matter how it looks outside. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter what you did or didn't do. The only thing that matters is how you are feeling now. And that's going to create a new ripple effect in your life. It is true that sometimes you change now and the outside world didn't catch up yet to that new way of being inside of you. And there is, someone was saying, a good way for you to know if you have changed or not. And that is, if you have energetically changed, you are going to react differently to the same outside experience. So for example, if there is something outside of you a person, an experience, something that triggers you, when you change energetically now and you become a different person, a different version of you, you are going to look at that experience and you are not going to react the same way. And that is when you know that you have changed, even though the outside didn't change yet. But it will change. That's the law. That's the law of resonance. Like attracts like. The law of attraction. You are going to match. Everything is going to be matched to your vibration in the present moment. So I hope that I answered some of your questions. There is a lot of trust in here too that you need to experience, and you need to trust that you are going to do your best every present moment. And then the next thing that you need to do, you are going to take action on it when it shows up. And then you're going to stop feeling that anxiety of, what if I don't make the right choice? What if I don't? Because the only thing that you have to do is get in alignment now. Get in alignment now. And that's going to help you navigate your experience better. Okay? And we are out of time. I need to go because it's my time to take care of my daughter Eva. And I need to release Samantha because she's been taking care of her the whole morning. So guys, thank you so much for being here as always. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. It's always fascinating to look at this from a different perspective. I always learn something new. Teaching is the best way to learn. I love teaching because I'm always learning. And I'm so fascinated about this topic, and it's always exciting for me to share this, exciting for me to research this, and very exciting for me to see how do I apply this in my life, and to keep asking myself questions about time and space and the law of attraction and everything that very big questions, right? And sometimes there are many different answers that are valid. So I think it's really nice to keep exploring. Okay? Amazing, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. And please transition to your next task with intention. Okay? And I hope to see you next week if you can make it. Adios.